Hello, everyone. This is Adventure Time, a virtual series that we're going to be doing throughout the summer, where we're going to be focused on different aspects of our faith and having adventures throughout our local area. Today, we're at Cadillac Ranch, a local art installation where we were intending to come and talk about creation, God's creativity, and our creativity. Where just recently, 3 days ago, we learned that all of the cars behind me were painted all black with the words Black Lives Matter on them. So instead of talking about creation, we're going to be talking about today the question of who is my neighbor?
So, right now, there's a lot going on in our culture that is drawing our attention. There are a lot of different voices to listen to, a lot of different opinions and thoughts and questions. But most importantly, we want to listen to God's voice through his scripture to talk about how to treat other people.
One day, a lawyer put Jesus to the test. He said, I know the law says to love God with all of my heart and to love my neighbor as myself. But who is my neighbor? Jesus told him this story. A man was on his way to the city of Jericho. Some robbers beat him and they stole everything that he had. The man was hurt. He needed help. Along came a priest, and the priest saw the man, but he didn't stop. Along came a helper in the temple. He saw the man, but he didn't stop. Along came a Samaritan man, and when he saw the hurt man, he stopped. The Samaritan man cleaned up the man's wounds. He lifted the man onto his own donkey and took him down the road to an inn. They stayed at the inn, and the Samaritan man took care of the hurt man all night long. In the morning, the Samaritan man gave the innkeeper 2 silver coins, and he said, Take good care of him until I return. After Jesus finished the story, he asked, Which one of the 3 men was the neighbor? And the lawyer answered him, The one who took care of the hurt man. So Jesus told him, Go and do just as the Samaritan has done.
So in this story, Jesus poses the question, who is our neighbor? And so we asked ourselves, who is our neighbor? And obviously in the story, the Good Samaritan was the good neighbor. The priest and the temple helper, they wanted to turn a blind eye to the unfairness to the person laying in the ditch. And so as we contemplated whether or not we wanted to come out here with knowing that the cars were painted black, and we thought about shying away. We saw a lot of ourselves in the religious leaders, the priest and the temple helper. We saw ourselves filling those shoes, and reading the story reminded us that that was a critique against them, that was a bad thing, that we need to be like the Good Samaritan, and we need to be the good neighbor that impacts those that we see are being treated unfairly. And it's easy as people who look like me and people who look like Mary and Eli and Emily to walk away, and to turn a blind eye and to walk on the other side of the street and not have these tough conversations. It is. But our brothers and sisters who are black and who are people of color, they don't have it that easy. They don't get to walk away from their skin color. They live this day in and day out. And so we want to be good neighbors towards them. We don't want to be like the temple helper or the priest. We want to be people who are good neighbors. And so in this story, I think a better question that we can ask ourselves, Jesus is responding to the question of who is my neighbor, because Jesus tells them that the second greatest command is to love your neighbor as yourself. And these people ask the question, well, who is my neighbor? Trying to limit that, trying to shy away from some of the hard things, tough things that would require of them. And so a better question we can ask ourselves is, I want to be a good neighbor, so what does that look like? What does that love of my neighbor look like? What does it require me to do? And I think it requires us to have these tough conversations. It requires us to be people who don't shy away. It requires us to be people who don't turn a blind eye to the injustices and the unfairness that we see in the world. And this is prevalent right now. And this is hard. And it's also hard because we've been dealing with stuff for the past 3 months with the coronavirus. And it feels like it's just one thing after another. And it's tough. We get that. But this isn't something that we can just say, oh, this is just another thing. This is real. And our black friends and black family really do suffer There really are injustices done to them. They really are treated unfairly. And so we want to be people who love them. And so if you want to have a conversation with us about how you can love your neighbor better, we would love for you to reach out to us. Let us know what it is you're thinking about and how we can help you really just be a better neighbor.